Colin, given all we've covered today, I'd like to go back to a conversation we had that was not on the recording today. And let me ask you a question you asked me earlier. Is that the adoption of AI in the industrial domain, is it evolutionary or revolutionary? You go first.
Okay, you want me to go first? Well, I
Yeah.
guess I wrote the first report that question essentially embedded in the title, right? Where I called it the Industrial AI Revolution, but the R was in brackets, right? And so when I went into writing that report on behalf of ARC and working with a number of our analysts, that was a there was a heated debate, right? Now that was written over a year ago now, right? And so if I look back on it now, I can say that I think it is an evolution in terms of AI tools and techniques, right? Because I still talk with many clients, both kind of industrial manufacturers, those in the oil and gas segment, etc., and with vendors trying to apply AI. Broadly, the feedback I get is 80% of the use cases they're looking at, they're still applying more traditional, or let's say more mature AI tools and techniques. So the idea that generative AI has revolutionized even AI, let alone the industrial sector, is a bit of a stretch. I think it's more of a evolution. I think where I tend to lean towards it being maybe revolutionary is in one very specific way in which generative AI is impacting the way that we interact with complex systems. And so whether it's in our daily lives, where I typically I don't use Bing or Google for search anymore. I'm using Copilot, right? And so I have a whole different way of interacting when I'm looking for data, researching data. So that's just one use case, right? But we're all starting, whether we realize it or not, we're interacting with more and more Gen AI powered chatbots, experiences. We're talking with vendors that are now making it the de facto way that you will interact when you work with their technology. They're trying to use it to make it much simpler to ramp up, to get help. And in some ways, it's becoming the new. And so I think in that way, it's like mobile phones before it, right? Before that, we would much more comfortable interacting on a desktop, right? And then we had to account for the fact that, well, now everyone's most powerful device they probably have is the their phone, right? And that's the way they interact. And you had to change the UIs. You had to introduce voice. You could introduce video. And I think take the idea that really any complex system, whether it's on the shop floor, in the factory, in supply chain, they all have to process massive amounts of data. They're getting more and more complex. And so it's revolutionary in the terms of it's changing the way that almost every software, hardware, the fusion of the two in complex systems is being designed, and the way that we will interact with them from here going forward.
Well, thank you, Colin Mason, the Director of Industrial AI here at ARC Advisory Group. This is the first of a 4 or 5 part series on industrial AI. And thank you to our audience for joining us on this journey into the world of industrial AI. We've covered quite a bit today, from the fundamental differences between industrial AI and general AI to the impact of AI on industrial processes and technology. If you did find this episode insightful, be sure to subscribe to our podcasts. That would be ARC's The Digital Transformation Podcast, as well as ARC's The Sustainability Podcast, and leave a review. Of course, please share this episode with colleagues and friends who might benefit from the understandings that we've learned today. And stay tuned for more episodes as we continue to explore how technology, and AI in particular, is driving sustainability and digital transformation. Thank you very much for joining us today.